Reporting shows St. Louis's mayor has been jet-setting throughout her term. Public records revealing the mayor took 64 trips in the last 3.5 years in office. The story broken by the St. Louis Business Journal, and reporter Jacob Kern is here joining us today to talk all about it. Jacob, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah, we'll bring our viewers right up to speed, get right into some of the facts here. Take a look at this. You requested the mayor's travel reports and her work calendar. Those records show she had taken these 64 trips since taking office back in April of 2021. In total, she was away from St. Louis for 163 days. You do the math, you find out that's about 12% of her total time in office. Now let's look at some of the trips she went on. In 2021, a trip to Dallas, meeting with Southwest Airlines CEO. 2022, to Washington, D.C., the African American Mayors Association Conference. Also that year, going to Las Vegas to meet with the International Council of Shopping Centers. And then the next year in New York, the Urban League Summit. She also took trips to Puerto Rico, Montreal, and Mexico City. So, Jacob, in the last 3.5 years, to the general public, this might seem like a lot of travel.
Yeah, and I think that for people who have had experience in the mayor's office, it seems like a lot of travel as well, because Lyda Krewson took a little more than 4 trips a year. Francis Slade, the top officials who were with him, they said it was even less. Freeman Bosley served in the 90s. He said he tried to leave St. Louis as infrequently as he could because the office, it really depends on doing the operational work of the city. And there are a lot of departments that depend on the mayor. One thing to remember is that unlike in Kansas City or some of our peer towns, we don't have a city manager. So the mayor is the operational chief of the government.
So a pretty big difference from administration to administration. Now, Mayor Tishaura Jones declined to do an interview with you, but she did take to social media defending the travel. Let's take a listen.
It's important to me that our city has a seat at the table on a national level when there are opportunities for things like federal funding. My leadership positions in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the African American Mayors Association, Mayors Against Illegal Guns, East-West Gateway, and the National League of Cities are instrumental in bringing resources to our city.
So she says a lot of these trips are really taken through the lens of opportunity. What did the mayor's office tell you about why the trips were important to make?
They gave us a lengthy list of information, 6 pages, that included $1 billion in federal money that had come to the city of St. Louis. And there were several pots of money, including different solar grants. There was a couple of grants to nonprofits that they had been involved in that did appear new for the city of St. Louis. The problem is that also they cited grants that other administrations have gotten the exact same grant. So there was kind of a question of whether the money would be coming no matter the travel. They also cited the $500 million ARPA money that came to the city of St. Louis. The issue with that is that the formula that revealed how much St. Louis would get, it came under Mayor Krewson. It didn't come under Tishaura Jones.
Okay, interesting insight there. Also something interesting to note here, the mayor also did a bit of traveling when she was treasurer before she was even mayor, some of which we reported on. This is from a First Alert 4 Investigates piece back in 2017. Take a listen.
The streets of Paris, the White House, even the Vegas Strip. Just some of the many places City Treasurer Tishaura Jones has traveled in her first term. About 50 trips in total, all paid for in part or in full with public funds.
And again, this was during her time as treasurer. And Jacob, there's one key difference from those trips to the ones she's most recently taken. Those ones were paid for with public funds. Most of her trips now as mayor don't involve public funds. So who exactly is paying for these ones?
There was one that was paid with city funds that are allocated to the mayor's office, but her campaign paid for some of this. There was also personal funds. And so the mayor can actually take a $30,000 contingency fund as their own income. So a lot of that was used, but also outside groups paid for a lot of these trips. So there was an accelerator in Chicago. There was an abortion rights PAC in Washington, D.C. And so there were outside groups doing it as well.
Okay, so with those outside groups, does that raise any questions about whether those organizations could be getting any sort of special treatment?
Well, I think it does. And, you know, there are rules for the city where they are supposed to put on forms who is paying for these trips. And they do that, but it isn't so easy to get them, okay? You have to go to the registrar's office. Then you have to file a sunshine request. Then you have to pay fees to get these records. So if somebody were just interested month by month in who is funding Tishaura Jones's often multiple trips per month, you couldn't do it really in real time. It would take a news media that was going to follow through and be persistent. It's not easy.
Is that some of the digging you plan to continue doing?
Well, we've done it once. We could.
Okay, Jacob Kern with the St. Louis Business Journal. Great reporting. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We have a lot more information about the mayor's travel on our website, firstalert4.com, including links to the Business Journal story and some of those obtained records.